Today on Months and Made This, I am showing you how to make one of my favorite Korean dishes of all time, Buldak with melted cheese. So this dish that I'm making today, Buldak, is a very spicy chicken dish, but because we're making a vegan version today, I'm swapping out that chicken for soy curls. Now, soy curls are pretty much just soybeans ground up and then formed into these curl shapes that once rehydrated really do make an amazing substitute for chicken. So that's what I'm going to be using today. And I will be using some vegan mozzarella on top at the very end, which I'm going to be using Violife for that. It all gets roasted in the oven. It's an incredible dish if you like spicy food. Now, there are some ways that you can make this a little bit less spicy, and I'll talk about that later on. But first thing we need to do is get these soy curls hydrated. So in this bowl here, I have about 4 ounces of soy curls, and that's half of this bag minus some of the crumbs that wind up in the bag. To hydrate this, I'm going to be using some dashi stock, which is actually just hot water with some kombu that was marinated in it. You could use just hot water. You could use a little bit of vegetable stock. It's about 2.5 cups that I'm putting in here. The thing that you want to be cautious of, though, is making sure that you don't add anything in here that's too salty. The sauce that we're going to be adding on top has quite a bit of soy sauce in it and quite a bit of salt. So you want to make sure that when you hydrate these, you don't add too much salt because it'll just make the whole dish too salty. So I'm going to put these in this bowl covered for 10 minutes. And while I do that, I will be making the sauce. These are the ingredients I need for the sauce. I have some low sodium tamari, some agave nectar, black pepper, some Korean chili flake, gochujang, some toasted sesame oil, as well as some garlic and a knob of ginger. To make my life a little bit easier, I'm going to be just doing all of this in the magic bullet so that I don't have to chop up the garlic and the ginger and everything gets blended together and chopped up evenly. So, first thing I'm going to be adding is the gochujang. This is a Korean chili paste. I found this actually, wow, it's making a mess. I found this actually at Target, so it's pretty easily available nowadays. I need 2 tablespoons of this. And to that, I'm going to be adding 3 tablespoons of agave nectar. If you have brown rice syrup, that would actually work well for this also. But I'm just going to be using agave nectar. This Korean chili flake is, I don't know, I found this at a Korean market. I'm not sure how readily available it is, but you need a 1/4 cup of this. Does anybody else keep crackers in their jars to keep things dry? If you don't have Korean chili flake, I've used ancho chili powder before in the past, and it's worked really well. I just would use a little bit less, maybe 1/8 of a cup, instead of a full 1/4 of a cup like this. Next is a 1/2 cup of soy sauce. I'm using a light tamari here, which is a gluten-free soy sauce. And it's low sodium so that it kind of helps with the salt a bit. I should definitely have taken the restricting lid off this before attempting it, but whatever, we're gonna go with it. I'm gonna be adding about a teaspoon of toasted sesame oil. Freshly ground black pepper. The last thing I'm going to be adding is the garlic and ginger, which I'm going to chop up just a little bit before adding it. I am going to let the magic bullet do most of the chopping of this, but I just want to break it up into smaller pieces so it can cut it up a little bit more evenly. And this is again just about a 1/2 inch piece of ginger. The recipe that I have calls for 8 cloves of garlic, although when I went this morning to look at my garlic, the cloves were quite large compared to the ones that I've been using in the past. So I only have 5 here. If you don't like garlic, add less. If you love garlic, add more. But I think 5 cloves this size is going to be equivalent to the 8 cloves that I used when I tested the recipe before. And now that this is just roughly chopped, adding these into the magic bullet. Sauce is blended. I'm just gonna be setting this aside, and my soy curls are pretty much rehydrated. So before I start to cook everything, I'm actually going to be grating my cheese. And I just purchased Violife's mozzarella cheese. This dish, when I've had it, always is served with mozzarella cheese with a little bit of Italian seasoning on top. And this dish, because it's so spicy, you really want this cheese component on there to help cut through a lot of that spice, and it just adds like a nice gooey layer on top. So I'm gonna be grating probably about maybe a half cup, maybe a little bit more, that I'll be sprinkling on the top, and that it'll get melted at the very end. The stuff grades up so perfectly. I'm obsessed with this cheese. It's really my first time playing with their mozzarella, but if it's anything like their cheddar, I'm gonna love it. All right, should be enough. Not too much, just enough to melt on the top, and again, to give it this nice gooey layer. Over here at the stove, I have my cast iron pan on medium high heat. Now, I'm using this cast iron pan because this is gonna end up going in my oven to melt the cheese. If you don't have an oven safe pan, you might wanna put it into another dish at the end when you're ready to melt the cheese, but because I wanna be able to do it all in one dish, that's why I'm using this cast iron. My soy curls are hydrated, so I'm going to be squeezing these out in just a moment and adding them to this pan. Over here, I have chopped up an onion, jalapeno, some broccoli, green onion, and this is broccoli stem, which often goes to waste, but it's probably the most delicious part of the broccoli. When the soy curls are cooking initially, I'm gonna be putting the onion and the jalapeno in with them. Then I will add the sauce, and I'll add the other things in at the end before I put it in the oven with the cheese. So let's wring out these soy curls. So be careful, these, at least mine are still pretty hot, but you wanna be able to get a lot of that extra liquid out so that they brown up easier. So in the pan here are the soy curls that have been strained. I just squeeze them with my hand to get any excess liquid out. As you can see, they look a lot like chicken strips. To that, I'm going to be adding my onion. This is just a half of an onion that has been chopped. And these will cook down quite a bit. And then also I'm adding in a half of a jalapeno. You could add more, you could add less, depending on your heat level and tolerance. So with this on medium-high heat, I'm just going to be sauteing this, let the soy curls get brown, let the onions soften up a bit, and then we'll be ready to add the sauce. You can see that the soy curls are starting to brown, and I didn't add any oil to this. It's not necessary. If you did want it to brown up a little bit more, you could always add a bit of oil to the pan, but again, not necessary at all. While these are sauteing, they're almost done. I'm going to preheat my oven. I'm just gonna be using my smart oven here, and I'm going to just set it to bake on about 450. So these soy curls have browned up a little bit. They've firmed up nicely. The onions and the jalapenos have wilted, so it's time for me to add my sauce. I've turned the stove down to low, and I'm gonna be adding all of this sauce on here. As you can see, I still have some chunks of garlic and ginger, but that's okay. Now, this is gonna rehydrate the soy curls slightly and change their texture just a little bit, but as the liquid from the sauce cooks out, they'll firm up once again. So you just wanna kind of stir this around, let the liquid evaporate. While I'm doing that, I'm actually gonna add the rest of my ingredients here. So I have my broccoli, which is not actually in the recipe, but it's something that I just had in the kitchen, so I decided to add, and green onion. So while the sauce cooks down and evaporates a little bit, it will also wilt the green onion and help the broccoli to cook. Look at that sauce coating it. Again, it's a really complex sauce. It's spicy, it's sweet, it's salty, it's just got a nice depth. This has been simmering for quite a while, and the soy curls have regained their texture that they had before the liquid And the sauce is pretty much cooked down. It's coating everything. So I'm gonna add the last few ingredients. I'm gonna add a bit of sesame seed. Next thing is the cheese. And the very last thing, sprinkle of Italian seasoning. My oven is preheated to 450. I could have put it on broil, that would have worked, although it might have gotten it too dark on top without it actually melting. So it's on 450 and this is all ready to go in here. I'm gonna put it in for maybe about 5 to 10 minutes. I'm just gonna keep an eye on it, and it's done when it's melted and is starting to brown a little bit on top. And here we have the finished product, fresh, bubbly hot out of the oven. Buldak spicy Korean chicken made with soy curls with Violife mozzarella cheese.
C'est Madame Ferrer. Et la voir s'occuper ainsi toute seule, nous nous demandons à quoi elle peut bien songer en ce moment.
I am so excited to try this dish. It looks visually just like the dish that I remember. The recipe that I made that's gonna be posted below or linked below is a variation of the recipe that I found in this book, Koreatown. And it's pretty much, the sauce was already vegan. I just added some different things and changed some things, but definitely what they put it on was not vegan. So the addition here of the soy curls looks to be the perfect solution for the chicken. It looks visually exactly like the chicken in the dish that I remember, and I'm excited just to dig in. So let's give it a try. The sauce is spot on. The soy curls are the perfect substitute for the chicken in this particular dish. And the cheese, although it kind of disappears a little bit into this, you can still taste it and comes through, and it adds just a nice kind of creaminess to to cut the spiciness of the rest of the dish. So I'm very impressed. And I'm happy that I added that little bit of broccoli just to boost up the health benefits of this. So definitely give this dish a try. If you like spicy food, if you like Korean food, this dish is for you. Also, if you want more Korean-inspired dishes, my, what is it, quinoa? I forgot the word here. My quinoa burger video has a Korean-inspired burger on there as well that has very similar flavors. So give that one a try. Check out my other videos as well. Subscribe to this channel if you like this video, and watch all my other videos as well. Give this a thumbs up if you do like this, and I will see you next week for a brand new recipe video. So good.